So it is extremely rare for two teams that would consider themselves contenders to make a deal like this. The last one I can remember is the Cleveland Boston trade, the Isaiah Thomas for Kyrie Irving deal, which was even crazier because they played in the same conference. But again, it's rare for a player to go from a conference finals team to what I believe is an upgraded situation. So it's hard to give a great comp for this situation, but I do feel like this Cat going to New York is going to recontextualize his whole career. And I'm not saying the Knicks are going to win a championship. I'm also not saying they are not going to win a championship, but it makes me think of bigs that we've seen change teams and the perception around them change. The most recent example being Porzingis, which I'm not really sure what to do with that, considering he barely played in the playoffs. But before he got to Boston, people were out on Porzingis. A lot of people seen the talent, but they were out on him as a player. If we go back 20 years ago to Rasheed Wallace, right? A lot of people seen the talent, but they were out on him as a player. The Pistons got him, he put them over the top. We also seen the two guys that joined LeBron James and Chris Bosh and Kevin Love, and how their name was kind of played with during that time. But overall, I would say a positive for each of those guys. But the one that I feel like Cat might be the most similar to, and again, I'm not saying that the Knicks are about to go to 3 straight finals and win 2, but I'm thinking about Pau Gasol. Because I would say Kevin Love pre-Cleveland had more of a reputation as a star. I would say Chris Bosh pre-Miami had more of a reputation as a star. And Cat definitely has a star reputation, but a lot of people think of Cat as a loser for some reason. A lot of people think of Cat as soft, and that's kind of the reputation that Pau had. Now, a lot of that might be some xenophobia. A lot of that might be the Kobe lens, right? We like to think, oh, Kobe got him and made him tough, and maybe that's true, but at the time the Lakers got Pau Gasol, nobody was saying he's gonna be the second best player on a team to go to 3 straight finals and win 2 rings. And I'm not saying the Knicks are gonna do that, but I think Cat has an opportunity right now to change the way we look at his career in totality. And for sure, it's not a one-to-one comparison. Cat is more accomplished than all of these guys at that point where they were moved. And Cat, again, is coming from a team that was just in the conference final, so it's completely different. But as soon as Pau got to LA, All-NBA, 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 3 years in a row. I think we might see that type of trajectory from Cat. And a lot of people are gonna be reminded how good at basketball this dude actually is. If you look at his year 2 through 7 in the NBA and what he put up, I'm not saying that, oh, if you would have just made it Cat's team and they would have been this great team, he would have been Joel Embiid, he would have been Jokic, right? I'm not saying that would have happened, but I just bring that up to point out the level of sacrifice he actually had to make in order to accommodate Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert. Cat had to change his game. Now in the first round of the playoffs, Cat has to guard Kevin Durant while also shooting 50% from 3. Then go switch to guarding Nikola Jokic in the second round. And while Anthony Edwards isn't fully developed as a playmaker yet, I'm not saying he won't get there, we've seen some strides in the playoffs for sure, but the fact that Ant isn't that level of a passer, it became Cat's responsibility to get Rudy Gobert involved. Now he's going to a situation where, yes, obviously they still need him to be a complete player, they still need his passing, they still need his defense, they definitely need his boards. But it should be a situation where he's unlocked to be a scorer. At least that's the way I'm seeing it in my mind. I hope that's the way it goes. I really hope there's no question about who's going to be the second leading scorer on this team. We know Mikal has done more on ball since going to Brooklyn. We know OG Anunoby every other year is talking about how he wants to do more off the dribble. Hopefully those guys just buy into their role and let Cat be Cat and go score the ball. The Knicks now have 2 guys that dropped 60 points in a game last year. Don't overthink it. The gap between Brunson and Cat should be smaller than the gap between Mikal and Cat, in my opinion. But as accomplished as Cat is, all the accolades he has, I think there is a real chance we look back on his career and we remember the Knicks part more than the Wolves part. Again, the distinction between someone like a Pau Gasol or a Chris Bosh, where I don't feel like we remember Chris Bosh as a better player on Miami. Obviously, he celebrated for being a part of the Big Three, but when people talk about the best version of Chris Bosh, they talk about Toronto Chris Bosh. When people talk about the best version of Kevin Love, they talk about Minnesota Kevin Love. When we talk about the best version of Pau Gasol, we talk about Lakers Pau Gasol. And I think when we talk about the best version of Cat, we're going to be talking about New York Knicks Cat at the end of his career. And the obvious distinction that I'm making is Kevin Love was a third option, Chris Bosh was a third option, Rasheed Wallace was a third, fourth option. Cat is going to be the number 2 option. I'm really hoping that's not a question. But I wanted to say one more thing about Cat, right? We have a perception of Cat as some people feel like he's a loser, like has a loser mentality. A lot of people feel like he's a soft player. And I just believe we have that perception of Cat because we don't like his mannerisms, because we don't like the way he talks, right? Because he's just a goofy guy, right? A goofy guy, not a goofy, right? There's a difference. But that doesn't really apply on the court. Yes, Cat does some dumb things on the court, but I never watch a game and feel like, oh, Cat doesn't care about winning. I never get that impression. I never watch a game and feel like, oh, Cat doesn't want to do the dirty work. He does. And I know he was on a winning team now, and I know he still got his money, so you can argue what sacrifice did he really make. But again, for someone to be putting up 25 and 12 in his second year, not only do you have to relinquish the keys of the franchise to Anthony Edwards, you have to change your game to accommodate the guy that was pretty much brought in to eventually replace you, as we see, and Cat does it. And not only does it, embraces it, becomes more of a playmaker to accommodate for Rudy Gobert. Guards Kevin Durant in the first round, guards Nikola Jokic in the second round. Yes, the conference finals was bad for Cat, but it was bad for everybody. And I'm not saying it to make a point that Cat is such a great guy and he goes out of his way for his teammates. That's not what I'm trying to say, or that's not the reason I'm saying it. I'm only saying it because he has a reputation of the opposite. People think of Cat as immature, when he has clearly demonstrated that he cares about winning. But I'm hoping in New York we get more of a selfish Cat. Go back to putting up 24 and 12. Go back to shooting 6 threes a game. You guys want to hear a crazy stat? Now, Luka kind of steals the show on this stat, but most games all time with 30 points and 10 boards. Luka is already 19th with 88. Luka is only 22 games away from passing Tim Duncan for most 30 and 10 games. Crazy. But Cat is 21st all time on that list. And if you look at everybody ahead of him, Cat would be by far considered the worst player on that list, reputation-wise. It is a bunch of the greatest bigs of all time. It's LeBron James, it's Westbrook, it's James Harden, it's Dominique Wilkins, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan. Pretty much all of the greatest forwards and centers of all time, and Michael Jordan, James Harden, Westbrook, and Luka as the guards. Now, I don't know who cares about all-time 30 and 10 games. Like I just said, Tim Duncan has 110. AD has way more than Tim Duncan. I don't think anyone's saying that AD is a better player all time than Tim Duncan. I just wanted to see where Cat would stack up on that list, and my only point in bringing it up is, right now, current day, if I give you that list, you would say Cat is the one guy that doesn't belong. But my point is, I believe after the Knicks career, Cat's name is going to be firmly with those guys. I'm not saying he's going to be Tim Duncan, but it won't seem like such an outlier. It'll seem like he deserves to be right up there. And I think I said James Harden earlier. James Harden is actually below Cat on the all-time 30 and 10 list. The names right below Cat: DeMarcus Cousins, Chris Webber, James Harden, Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett only had 64 30 and 10 games in his career. A little bit surprising to me. But like I said, who really cares about that number? Just found it to be an intriguing list, and the fact that Cat is, right in the middle of that list. But yeah, as you can tell, I have high hopes for this Knicks team. I have high hopes for Cat. Maybe you guys disagree. The Eastern Conference is now crazy, like the big man position. Let's count Giannis in that discussion. He's definitely a big man, right? But you got Giannis, you got Porzingis, you got Embiid, you got Cat, you got Miles Turner, who's, not on the level of these guys, but can pose problems. You got, who am I thinking of? You got the Cleveland guys. And for the Celtics, I didn't even mention Al Horford, which would not be surprising if we see Al Horford lock up Cat on a key possession in the conference finals game. That would not be surprising at all. But yeah, let me know what you think of the trade overall. Let me know what you think of Cat overall. You feel like it's going to work out? I guess we can make another video about the Minnesota side of it. I'm not a fan of that. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Please subscribe. We're close to 5K. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out. Peace.